biggest mistakes that artists are making today is by completely committing to a big canvas without preparing what they're going to do beforehand. This gives them no visual cues, it doesn't allow them to see where their painting's going, and it can cause a lot of stress down the line. So for me, I like to know where my work is going before I commit to that larger piece. And I do this by creating a number of small thumbnail colour studies. What this does is it teaches me what's working, what's not working, and the things that I could improve on. So if any of those things are not working at this stage, we can quickly correct it before committing to that large canvas. So in this video, we're going to finish the last 5 thumbnail colour studies, and this is based around my recent trip to Devon. I really want to sell you on the idea of doing these little colour studies because for me they have been a complete game changer in the way that I approach my paintings. These studies take around an hour each, but they give me valuable insight into where the painting could go, and after all, hindsight is a wonderful thing. Some of these paintings won't work as larger pieces, but you only really find that out once you finish doing these small thumbnail colour studies. So it saves you a lot of time and a lot of stress down the line. So first up, we've got this big open landscape and it's full of depth, and some sharper wild grass and rocks that sit just there in the forefront. If you're in the UK and you haven't been here yet, I really recommend going down to this place called Dulverton, which lives just by Wimbleball Lake, and that's in Devon. In this particular colour study, I really wanted to capture that depth of the open landscape, and a way in which I decided to do this was by using artistic license. Now, if you haven't heard of artistic license before, it's basically a term used that gives permission to change reality to make a painting stronger, and I think vibrating these colours really helps to do that. This painting is all about shifting the values to create depth, and we do this by starting with whatever is furthest away, and in this case that far rolling hill, and bringing the scene forward by stepping down in value and increasing the saturation. So notice those violets becoming darker and bluer as they come forward. Well, that is essentially all we're doing to create that illusion. Anyway, that's the first colour study done, so let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Next up, we're painting a popular site, Tar Steps. It's a clapping bridge in the Exmoor National Park. And this little building right here sits tall and proud between the trees, and this is actually a pub restaurant where we stopped after our hike. I wanted to capture the idea that you can finish your hike, head back over that popular clapping bridge and head straight to that restaurant for a refreshment. I want the building to feel slightly more illuminated than the forefront to help with this. And I do this just by keeping the elements furthest away slightly lighter in value and the things closest to us slightly darker in value. By now you may have noticed that I'm not using very many different brushes. In fact, I'm mostly using this size 6 round brush. I have a few of these on the go to keep my colours and tones separate, but I just find that this brush allows me to make big, bold, messy marks to avoid overworking and giving it too much detail. This is a way that I've found to reduce the time doing these little studies. With that one being done, let's move on to another. I sketched this scene up by using a graphite pencil, making a few marks to indicate the positioning of masses. I like to break my scene down into manageable zones, so here I have a zone for the sky, the distant hills, the water, and finally the grassy areas in the forefront. Do you guys remember the first study we painted earlier on in the video? Well, this place is less than 5 minutes walk down the same path. We had to be brave and climb down a steep hill to get to this amazing open view of the lake, and it was truly breathtaking. Sometimes I avoid painting scenes like this because it's so open, and therefore sometimes the open space can lose the viewer. So I decided to give it a try, as this is basically what this colour study exercise is all about. I don't think this painting will be making it into a larger piece, so let's move on and see what's next. Devon have loads of these little bridges that go over the rivers, so I had to paint another. My brother-in-law took us for a walk to find it, and there it is right above our heads in that photograph. A small trek in some very wet, windy weather. Not that my dog cared about it at all. Once we got to the bottom, this bridge sat between all this greenery and the shallow river that he told me he used to play in as a kid in summer. So I thought that was quite nice, and I'm going to paint it up here. Normally I'd start painting with the furthest element and bringing the scene forward, but seeing as this landscape doesn't have much depth, I thought I'd experiment and block in my greens first. I didn't like it as much as the other method, but it's all about trying and learning new things. Okay, last but not least, this place is part of the circuit walk at Tar Steps, a scene we painted earlier. If you can go somewhere and take loads of reference photos, you've got yourself 2, maybe 3 paintings from just one location. And what I loved about this scene was that the running river down the side of the woodlands path sort of gave it a bit of life. And this would make an unusual painting, but if I got it right, it could really be interesting. I took this photo in portrait, so I had to make some minor adjustments here. One thing that I feel is important to note is the type of palette that I'm using, and this is the same palette I'd use for my bigger pieces. So I used 2 models plus some earth tones. This is basically the RYB colour model and the CMY. So this is red, yellow and blue, primary colours, and cyan, magenta and yellow. You'd find those colours in a printer, so if you haven't tried them out, give it a try with your next thumbnail colour studies. That's the last one finished. Hopefully you will give this exercise a try before you commit to a larger painting. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button and leave me a comment below. See you back here for the next one.